All right, good morning, friends. I'm meteorologist Trevor Birchett with ABC 24 News in Memphis. Your current time is 9:01 on this Monday morning. We are going live on ABC 24 Plus. We're also on Facebook and on YouTube with an update for what we can expect from some of this wintry weather that is approaching the Memphis area. And I want to kind of start out with a look at what is happening right now. And at first glance on the radar, it doesn't seem like much. The radar looks kind of blank. But if we zoom in here, there's actually a little bit of light mist and drizzle in some spots. So as you are driving around today, just keep that in mind. There is going to be just a little bit of fog and mist around. Luckily, right now, temperatures are above freezing, so we are not concerned with any ice right now. But that is likely going to change as we go even into tonight. That's really when we're expecting it. Now through the day today, we are going to remain cloudy, cold, temperatures in the 30s, but temperatures are actually going to go down. And that is when we expect some of that nastier freezing rain and ice to kind of come in here. By the way, I'm keeping an eye on the Facebook comments. So if you are watching on Facebook, I'd love to see your questions, your comments, your concerns, anything you want to know. I have those comments up right now. So again, if you want to say hi, let me know where you're watching from. Like I said, if you have any questions, I've also got that information for you there. I actually just want to get right to the hour-by-hour forecast because I think this is the best way to show you what's going to be happening and when it's going to be happening in your neighborhood. So right now temperatures are in the 30s, so we're not concerned about any wintry weather right now, just some nasty mist and drizzle out there. And honestly, most of the day today is going to be dry. There could be a little mist here or there, but the time frame for the weather to start to go downhill is tonight. By 8 or 9 p.m. We're going to start to see some of that rain come in. And what you're seeing on the radar as pink, that is your freezing rain. So freezing rain, as it falls as rain, it's going to look like it's raining, but it's going to freeze into ice. It's the same thing we had last year when we had all that freezing rain come through. So overnight tonight, we'll have this first round of freezing rain come through. Notice your temperatures are below freezing, so this is now midnight tonight going into Tuesday morning. Temperatures in the 20s and 30s, so any rain that is falling is going to freeze. Except for our friends in Oxford and Corinth, that corridor likely not going to get as much ice, but it's going to be raining down there. That freezing rain continues through tomorrow morning, but honestly, by the time you wake up, most of the rain itself is going to be done. Now, any ice that accumulated is going to still be on the ground. So waking up tomorrow morning to temperatures in the 20s and 30s, any ice that does fall is still going to be there. And I think tomorrow, with this first round of freezing rain that's coming through, our biggest concern tomorrow morning is going to be your bridges and your overpasses. I don't think every road tomorrow is going to be a solid sheet of ice, not with this first system, but there will be some slick spots on the roads. The power lines will be weighed down a little bit. Of course, any little bit of ice can weigh down those power lines just a little bit and cause power outages. Had a lot of folks asking about water. Do they need to get bottled water? The problem we had last month with the water issue was that it was so cold, the pipes burst. I don't think that's a concern this time. The bigger concern is going to be for your lights and for your electricity. So through the day on Tuesday, temperatures are going to remain cold. I'm hopeful that we are going to get a little bit of time above freezing. This model doesn't show it, but I've had some indications from other models that we might get up to 35 or 36 by Tuesday afternoon. That would be great news because that's going to melt a little bit of that ice off from round 1, which is coming through tonight, because we do have a round 2. A second round of freezing rain and ice is coming through tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening. So we're going to see rain begin in Memphis by 3 or 4 p.m. tomorrow, and that is going to be freezing rain again. So by the evening commute tomorrow into your Tuesday night, that's when we're going to see another round of ice accumulation. You see in 8 p.m. Still seeing some of that freezing rain down in northern Mississippi, and we will see some light freezing rain continue overnight Tuesday into Wednesday. Now Wednesday morning, things start to improve a little bit. Notice by 11 a.m. we're up to 36 as that rain moves out. So that's when we'll start to see any ice kind of melt and clear up the roadways a little bit. But I would say anytime from midnight tonight through 11 a.m. Wednesday, we could see some issues on the roadways. We could be talking about power outages and dangerous travel. Another round of rain comes through Thursday. Luckily, that is going to be all rain because temperatures are in the 30s and 40s. So once we get past Wednesday morning, we're going to be in the clear from your wintry weather. So how much ice are we expecting? I'm going to show you this map, and I'm going to give you a caveat after that. So in general, 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of ice across the area It does not take much ice at all to cause issues. I will say if you're down in northern Mississippi, let me reset this and I'll kind of draw on this for you. If you're in that corridor from Selmer to Corinth, let's see, is that going to work? No, there we go. Selmer to Corinth, Ashland, Benton County, Tippah County to Oxford, that area, you are the only ones that might get out of this relatively unscathed. You might get a little glaze of ice, but that's the area that is not going to see the worst of this. Everybody else is going to see the 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of ice. Now, this is your total ice accumulation. So what's going to happen is we have that round coming through tonight. Some of that will likely melt off a little bit Tuesday afternoon. Then we'll have round 2. This does not take into account any melting. So what we're hoping is that melting will kind of trim down that ice a little bit before that second round comes through. It's still going to cause issues regardless, but the less ice we have, the better, because it's just going to add more and more weight onto the power lines. We do not want that. So in general, in the Memphis area, 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of ice. That's going to be a little bit less than what we got with last year's ice storm. I don't think we're quite as bad as that, and nowhere near, absolutely nowhere near 1994. 1994, Memphis had almost 2 inches of ice. We're looking at 1/4 of an inch. We had freezing rain back in 1994 for days. That is not going to happen this time. This is going to be a very quick system, 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch. Absolutely nowhere near 1994, so do not get too worked up about that. Ice storm warning is in effect for Memphis, much of western Tennessee and eastern Arkansas, also parts of northern Mississippi. Other areas in that kind of, let's call it like a lavender color, the lighter purple in North Mississippi, that's a winter weather advisory. That is where roads could be a little slick, but the worst of the weather is going to be in that purple area. So the lighter purple is kind of the step down from the ice storm warning. So here are kind of the 3 big things you need to know as we get ready for this. We're going to have those 2 rounds of freezing rain. One is tonight, one is tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night. All of that added up, ice accumulations of around 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little less than that. Either way, any ice you get is going to create slick roads. A lot of people, they tweet at me when things like this happen and they say, oh, it's okay, I have 4-wheel drive. Well, 4-wheel drive does not help you if all 4 wheels are going in different directions. So a little bit of ice is going to cause issues. 4-wheel drive does not help you in an ice storm. You can't get any traction on ice. You're just going to sit there and spin. We see it every single time, folks trying to get up a hill, a bridge, and that 4-wheel drive is just sitting there spinning. It's struggling. All 4 wheels are spinning. They're just not going anywhere because they're spinning on the ice. So don't get that false sense of security like you're going to be able to go no matter what, because there is a potential for roads to become hazardous. And I'm most concerned about the roadways for Wednesday morning after that second round comes through, especially if we can't get some of this ice to melt through the day tomorrow. So this first round, yes, it's going to create some ice. The bridges and overpasses especially will be slick by tomorrow morning. It's just going to be a question of how much we can get, how cold it gets, as to if the other roads are affected tonight. Now, going into Wednesday, we get a little more ice. I think that's where we could see some more widespread issues where a lot of the roadways are, a little slick. And keep in mind, they can't treat the roads for freezing rain. They can. It's a waste of money because the water's just going to wash it away before it gets a chance to freeze. So that little salt brine, it doesn't really work that well for freezing rain. So roads could definitely be a concern. Power outages could really be a concern. Even a little bit of ice added up on those power lines can weigh them down and rip them down. Then you've got the dead branches that are falling on trees and cars, and power lines also taking down power outages. So that's what we're going to be looking out for. That's going to be our concern for the next couple of days. I wanted to show you this, and then again, I'll look for some questions, and if we don't have any, I'll hop off of here. A question comes up a lot of like, well, what is freezing rain? What is the difference between freezing rain, sleet, and snow? So I wanted to show you this graphic, and this is kind of a cut through the atmosphere. And starting off in the atmosphere around 20 or 30,000 feet, think about where the airplanes fly pretty close to it. It's very cold up there. It's about 5 degrees Fahrenheit. So everything up in the cloud at that point is snow. Well, in the case of freezing rain, that snow's falling through the atmosphere and it runs into a layer of warmer air above the surface. In this case, about 5,000 feet up, temperatures get as high as 40 degrees. So all of that snow is falling, it melts into rain. So now you've got rain coming down. But then right at the surface, temperatures go back below freezing. So at the ground, we're 31 degrees. So it's raining because it melted. It went through that warm layer. But as soon as it hits the ground, now it's cold again and it's freezing on everything. So that's going to be what we're looking out for. Again, it's going to look like rain, but that's when it's going to start to freeze on your windshield and on your car and on the roads, the power lines. It just creates a big mess. So that is why we have this winter storm alert, this ice storm warning that's in place for Memphis and Shelby County and for much of the Mid-South. This starts tonight at 6 p.m. and it goes all the way through Wednesday morning, Wednesday at noon actually. So that's kind of the time frame that we are looking out for, with the potential for some pretty nasty weather, at least in parts of the area. So that's the update I have. I'm not seeing a whole lot of questions here, so hopefully that answered any questions that you might have. And I know if you're on the app right now and on Roku or Fire TV, you can't really ask me questions, but if you want to tweet at Weather Trevor, it's right down there. I'll also keep an eye on Twitter for those questions. I'll give it just a couple of seconds for you to check in if you do have anything that you need to know, if I'm leaving anything out. It's one of those situations that it can be a lot for you to take in because we've got 2 rounds of ice. What does it even mean? There's a lot going on. So again, I would love your questions, and if I don't get to them in this live, message me on Facebook, message the ABC 24 page or Twitter, and I'll have that up through the day today. As far as what you can do to prepare for this, first of all, number one, especially if you're in Memphis, prepare for power outages. Just be prepared for your power to potentially go out. Keep in mind that it does not take much ice at all for those power outages to occur. So you'll want to plan ahead for that. Make sure you've got flashlights, batteries, food that's not necessarily going to expire. Luckily, this is not going to be a long-term event. That's like weeks on end. This is going to be a couple of days and things should be fine. But some food that you can have just in case your lights do go out. Don't get anything that you need to cook because you might not be cooking it. Blankets, pillows, stuff to keep you warm if your heat does go out. Generator safety, don't run a generator in your house, things like that. That's kind of the number one preparation I would do, and make sure your phones are charged, like I said, with flashlights. As far as driving, and this is one of those weird situations where it's going to be kind of a wait and see. We've had a lot of people asking, well, can I drive? Can I go to work? I would not be surprised to see some schools err on the side of caution, but they're probably it's going to be a last-minute thing this time where they probably wait until tomorrow morning to see, because it's just a forecast that's so up in the air. How much are we going to get from the first round? Is that round going to melt any before the second round comes in? So there's a lot of variables in here. What I will tell you is, if you wake up in the morning, the roads are bad, have a plan that you might need to stay home. Just be advised that you might need to postpone some of those plans. I think the better chance of seeing rough roads is Wednesday morning, early Wednesday morning, because that's going to be both of those rounds crunched together, all of that ice stuck together. So we'll get some ice tonight. Don't get me wrong, bridges and overpasses could be slick. I'm already planning ahead tomorrow morning when I get to work. I'm not taking the flyover, which I normally do to get over here. I would take the surface streets, the roads that are not above ground, because those tend to freeze first. So take the side streets, the side interstates that are not any bridges, and then especially Wednesday morning, be prepared that the roads could be a little bit worse. By Wednesday afternoon, this should be all starting to fade away, melting, and then again, we'll have that other round of rain that comes through on Thursday, but luckily that is going to be just some rain. All right, not seeing any more questions, so that means I guess I did a pretty good job explaining everything. I will tell you we're going to be back for ABC 24 News midday at 11 a.m. I'll have some new data come in. I'm skipping lunch break today to pour over the data and try to get you the most accurate forecast we can. Of course, in a situation like this, you know it. Everybody knows it that's lived here. Things are constantly changing. So really the best we can do is keep an eye on things and try to change as quickly as we can with it. We don't want to be left behind with an old forecast if something has changed. So just be aware of that. Things are going to change, but we're going to try to change with it and get you the most up-to-date information that we can. So not seeing any more questions. Like I said, we'll be back on TV at ABC 24 News midday at 11. And you can always follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We've got the latest information there. Have a great day. Stay warm, guys.